Welcome everyone to today's video. Recently I dived back into some of the other shooters that are on the PSVR2 and I wanted to talk about Crossfire Sierra Squad, because surprisingly I've never done a video on this game, so let's dive into the game itself, the history of Crossfire and my overall thoughts and what I think of this game now. If you haven't already, then I'd like to remind you all to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment and a like. The support really means a lot to me. It's also always great to respond to comments, so let's go over the history of Crossfire. So for anyone that doesn't know what Crossfire Sierra Squad is, it's a first-person shooter and the only VR Crossfire game at this time. It released in August 2023 for both Steam and PSVR2, which is one reason why it looks as good as it does. Now Crossfire as a series dates back to 2007 when the original Crossfire released on Windows, and the game was heavily focused on multiplayer with no single-player campaign. And funnily enough, it's known as one of the most played first-person shooters in the world. After the success of Crossfire, Smilegate went on to making a mobile version of Crossfire, but after some time the game ended up only being available in China. They then came back with Crossfire HD, which was a free spin-off that went public in 2021. Now there are many other Crossfire iterations as well, but the one I remember the most is Crossfire X, which released exclusively on the Xbox One, Series X and S. I remember playing this for a bit and it was by no means the best of the best in the FPS genre, but it was pretty decent and had a good loyal fan base. Sadly, the game shut down in May 2023 and then came Crossfire Sierra Squad, their first jump into VR. And instead of going for their traditional multiplayer style game, they opted for a single and co-op experience. With a full single player campaign and a huge amount of co-op levels to experience, Crossfire gained recognition with the VR fanbase. But with all this, the future of the franchise and if VR is still in their sights remains unanswered. Now Smilegate are already working on their next game, but most of these seem to be for mobile or Windows. So let's go over the reception of Crossfire Sierra Squad on release. Before we jump into the main grit of the video, I'd like to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, VR Tactical Gear. If you haven't heard of VR Tactical Gear, they make the Armory R1, which is a VR gun stock compatible with the PSVR2, Quest, HTC Vive, HP Reverb G2 and the Valve Index. The Armory R1 comes in two colours, the SWAT Black and Imperial White, and is an injection moulded VR stock. What makes this stock so unique is the non-magnetic design, which makes it very easy to use. So if you're missing those shots or want a bit more immersion, then hop over to the link in the description to order. Also, if you use code GWT, you'll save yourself 10%. Once again, a huge thank you to VR Tactical Gear. Now back to the video. I remember the day Crossfire Sierra Squad came out as I rushed home and purchased it and streamed the game straight away, and it was one of my more popular streams. The game itself was incredibly fun and action packed, but it certainly had its setbacks and these were raised by many, and for once they weren't ignored. Many reviewers stated the game wasn't bad, but they felt the trailers missold the product and what they expected was not what they got. Either way, the game was a pretty solid shooter and that couldn't be denied. The weapons were incredibly weighty and felt great, but this came with a punch. No manual reload. Over the years, Smilegate did everything to correct their errors, and I'd say they did a fantastic job with the game. Now for me, when the game released, I didn't experience any bugs or anything. The game's setbacks were purely matters of opinion. So nearly 2 years from release of Crossfire Sierra Squad, it's better than it was on release due to the amount of patches that added fixes to opinions raised. The game is incredibly fun and offers a non-serious shooter experience, and it's honestly one of the better releases on the PSVR2, and with the benefit of crossplay it means you can squad up with PC players. Crossfire is a game that I've nearly platinumed, but I keep holding off as I just find it fun to play in short bursts, and it's an experience I don't want to end. Now, is it a perfect game? And for me, no it's not. Once you realise Smilegate's history is very much online games, it was a bit of a gut punch to have a game that plays this well not feature any PvP game modes. Now I'm not saying every shooter should have PvP, but when you experience this game and finish it all, you're left wanting more, and this game deserves it. I also feel it would have a loyal player base due to how great the weapons feel. I'd also like to see more co-op maps, story DLC and weapons get added just to keep this game alive, as genuinely I want to keep hopping back in with a purpose or something to progress to. Now another thing that needs to be mentioned with Crossfire is the difficulty. The game at the start takes an arcade approach where you feel like an action hero mowing down enemies, but if you change the difficulty to realism it changes the pacing to where you're taking cover a lot more, planning your shots and overall just appreciating cover. I found the game to be incredibly enjoyable on both of these difficulties and I would switch it up depending on mood when playing. So if you've got this far and still don't own Crossfire Sierra Squad, I highly recommend you change that. Also try and get a buddy to join you on co-op missions, as this adds a whole other element. I hope you've all enjoyed this video, and if you already have Crossfire Sierra Squad, let me know what you think of it. Do you feel it's a good game, or is it one people should avoid? Lastly, a huge thank you for taking the time to watch this video, I appreciate it a lot. I'll see you all in the next one, take it easy and have a great day.